See, in India, people are very shy. They are not able to express. And then moreover, they are working in a place, they are working in a city where, kind of nobody is stay with them. It's like nuclear family, even though, people married to each other. And then where to share something, We have seen many people, they are not able to express, they are not able to share because they don't have anything. And in this scenario, if somebody get even application or something else, where they can talk, that's what, to large extent, that's really good. So thank you. Kshitij, you heard them. 3 things coming. So Raju said digitalization technology is kind of actionable HR part. Then she talked about the mental health, and then she touched upon, data analytics and all. You touch upon analytics, and thanks for bringing up and creating awareness,
Right.
And you have seen people even not gone for a certification of HR analytics, correct? So you are in touch with so many leaders in the market, and they share the insight, correct? You have for me this 3 things important. Can you somehow bring it into your kind of HRMS or technology initiative or HR transformation? So according to you, what are the top 3 HR area will be critical in 2023?
Right, so employee well-being is definitely a thing, right? But well-being is just not about providing people with what they need. It's actually more than that. It's about preparing people for what is coming in future as well. So how I see these stats as well, how they see it as of now, is that a lot of businesses make money. Every business has a certain purpose. There is certain problem solving that business is trying to achieve through delivering, or deploying people in the same direction. Now, once the organization starts, the vision, the mission of the organization is pretty clear for the founders. Right? They understand what gap they are going after, where exactly is the need in the market, and they can deliver that. But when you start attaching people one by one, right, there will be department heads, there will be executives, and then the structure grows. The big problem that the organization faces is the alignment going off. Right? So every single department, these cyclic exercise of the alignment of people's objectives with the organization aspiration is one area which I think will be extremely critical this year. Because if you look at it, the layoffs are again signaling something, right? So it's majorly, it's a need of upskilling, like what Raju said, right? It's about replacing the people who work without the technology with the people who can work with the technology. So in this era, HR has an innate responsibility of developing that acumen inside the people, that they should be able to write certain aspirational objectives for themselves. They should be aware about all the different kind of job-related competencies or core competencies, or all the different kind of competencies that they should be picking up, right, to make it easier for themselves. So how do we do that, right? So that is one important aspect which will come into play this year. Other than this, I think employee experience is something which will be highly critical. There is a lot of negativity around in the air, and we should be actually helping people, express whenever that is there, right? So the one big risk is that if you do not let people express the stress that they have, it eventually grows and it, converts itself into a tumor. So we don't want that happening. How do we control that? So, technology will help. Like we ourselves as a platform have been thinking about it for a long period of time. We launched an expression wall into our platform where everybody can come and post things that they want to share. They can other people can like, share, subscribe, and all those different activities can happen. So the entire idea of building these walls, we also launched praises and surveys for getting those insights from the end users. So all of this becomes extremely critical. Once we are deploying. I think in this year when we are deploying our frameworks, we have to keep sure that we are calculating the employee net promoter score very effectively. So this will be of high criticality.
Great. Can we go to audience and pick up some questions? We'll get to know their views also,
Somebody is already raising their hand.
Yeah. Okay. You have one more mic in the hall. Can somebody help? 2 people raising a hand. Okay, your question should be question. Please listen to me. No comments.
Sure.
We'll take your comment after the session, don't worry.
Yes.
Question should be question and to the mark. And whom do you want to address? And to the topic. Yeah. Thanks.
Yes, it's a question to the panelist. Whoever thinks they can just give me an appropriate answer. Somebody spoke about gamification, so that's a very interesting concept. And we have been talking about gamification, and most organizations nowadays are looking into a lot on L&D, which basically comes to employee engagement and employee satisfaction, etc. And there are two ways how I want to do is connecting gamification into L&D, because L&D is something that is innate to an employee satisfaction, but many a times it is sidelined in an organization looking into the KRAs and everything. When we put gamification into it, people are more interested because it becomes interesting. How to do that? How to integrate gamification in L&D or T&D as we can also call it, and how can KECA help us to do that? Thank you.
So I'll answer the first part because I represent KECA. So why do people play games irrespective of age? This is for all of you. Irrespective of age group that we are all, why do we play games? Points, scoreboards, we get that. How many of you played Temple Run? So I'm sure everyone has played Temple Run with the sound on, right? So there is a click on the coin comes. I'm sure none of you would have played without the sound, obviously when children are sleeping. So what happens in the gamification is that it creates that interest, right? You will not believe 32% of tech companies, product tech companies have already used gamification for L&D. There's already a enough and more used case in the industry. So what happens is, I always tell this to my HR colleagues, the solution is just next to you, but you don't really understand what's happening, right? So my thought process to all of you is, have that research mindset in your head. Every day, pick up a paper, did I learn something today? Right? You should not go to bed if you will not learn something. It could be a simple word which is a new word. So coming back to the question, there are 32% of the companies have already done that. I can mention the name of the companies from Accenture to Tata's to, in fact, a couple of Infosys also has done a lot of gamification. So what they have done is they understood what trainings that they have to go through, what kind of learning styles people have, and they tried using gamified elements to make people engage and start playing games. And those people who learned through that also were actually recommended, and they've given some kind of voluntary vouchers and all that to them, right? And those learnings that they have got to, they have to display that learning in their workplace, and that's how their learning has continued. And one of the games I can talk about, it also talks about what kind of learning path that you are in. So there's enough and more examples of learning. In fact, I know 3 companies, I cannot mention the names now. They have completely onboarding is done through Gamify. There's no person standing and talking about 4 or 5 leaves and all that, no, nothing. Just game. You have to play the game. Game will tell you what the company wants you to tell. I think that's happening. Now with gamification, RP is also making a lot of noise. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Before Kshitij replied to the question, in this session one gamification happened. Do you know? Balloon. That's outside, but in this session, in this hall, one gamification exercise happened. And questions were being answered, and then, so what was the motivation you people to be engaged in that kind of session? So please bring some kind of motivation, not I'm saying money, to any kind of gamification or whatever. Yes sir, over to you. Okay.
Right, so from KECA's standpoint, we definitely can't develop games on our platform because I don't think organizations will allow us to do that. But on gamification, from the very beginning when we started developing this platform, we always thought that we will convey every information that is available on our platform in a gamified manner. So let me talk about some of the early stages modules that we designed in our platform. Leave management was one of those. So if you look at how leave management was typically done in the organizations, there is a leave balance, there is an accrual policy, and then there is a year-end policy of what happens to the leave. So in entirety, if you look at the corporate today, that's what companies remember. So when we started developing this, we thought what is the true essence of defining this? Almost like a couple of weeks of brainstorming, we came to that. We want to revolutionize the holidaying experience of the people. That is what is the essence of leaves, and we truly wanted to be that. So we started designing widgets on our platform, like widgets like Team Leave Calendar, which gives you a very clear information about which of your teammates are not working on what days, which will actually help you in deciding if you should be taking the leave or not. We started communicating holiday calendar. We brought in long weekends. We reflect as an information just to make sure that employees are able to see all of this and their holiday experience can be improved in a proper manner. So gamification can not only happen through technology, it also depends upon the kind of policies that the organization will keep. So if you really want to gamify it, it always is going to be an interactive exercise more than any technology can offer ever. In terms of, if I want to talk about some other features that we brought in lieu of increasing the gamification, is we brought in article sharing engage module in our platform where people can come share articles related to different interest topics, or like let's say during the COVID we utilized that, a lot of our customers utilize that module for very effectively communicating all the set of information that people should be seeing. Other than that, like if you look at our attendance sheets itself, if there is an LOP, it does not really need to look sad, right? Or if they're coming late, we have snail symbols and different kind of emojis kept across into the platform just to make sure that it does not give that regular vibe that people get once they're absent or anything like that. So gamification is always going to be a incremental exercise. If you want to do more on this, we also have a marketplace and we have a lot of other technologies like XOXO Day, which is pre-integrated with our platform, through which you will be able to design more, like the one that you were asked, learning or let's say performance-related data. Can that be gamified to provide rewards and recognition to people? So all of that will be possible through those technologies as well. So I think the more technology you bring in, although it will increase it, but at the end of the day, the policy changes are required to be done to make sure that happens.
Just to add on, if I may, it's like just giving a continuation and an example. Like at the airport, we have varied resources, few without the laptops or desktops who are managing the operations and so forth. So we were finding it difficult wherein it's a typical thing that employees don't go through the policies. So they don't read the policies and they come back to the HR or the respective HR business partners only when they require certain aspect of certain policy. So to educate them in a very easy way, what we started is something like a series which has a synopsis in the mail body like a EDM, wherein we post a summary of a policy and then down below is a quiz question. The first 5 answers get rewarded on a weekly basis. So in that process, we kind of cover all the policy, we do the refresher and everything, and it's a very easy way wherein employees would like to go for similar Amazon vouchers.
So like this, the gamification, the understanding, the education and all of it. Similarly, we've got some of our policies which are zero tolerance policies for us in terms of animated series on our intranet site. So like for example, the POSH policy. This is something which is very critical in today's world, right? And most of us have seemed to be undergoing or undergone some kind of a harassment at some point of our life. It need not be sexual at all points of time, it could be other workplace harassments also. So keeping the severity of that in mind, we did animate this POSH and harassment at workplace on our portal, which has real life examples and words and situations and all of it. And again, we have quizzes at the end of it to ensure that the person has understood, and then it proceeds to the next level. I think that has brought in a lot of awareness between all the people as to what can or cannot be done at workplace.
I think this is also important to know, which kind of people we are working with, right? And which kind of bosses we are working, which kind of leadership we are working. Please do the assessment properly. So it's good to be part of the wish list, ABC. But if you don't do the assessment, then you implement it just like you implement something and nobody uses it. If you don't use it because they don't want, you need to understand what they want, what they don't want. Right? Okay, we'll take one more question. And now please, panelists, be careful because now Anmol is in the room. He can pick up any point and then build upon very good. Yeah. So HR will be victim for that.
He is a good friend of mine, so he will pardon me.
Okay.
Yeah. So here.
Yes.
Last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving from the gamification to the influencing the key decision maker in an organization. For example, if you have CEO or if your director is there who is more pro-training oriented, L&D oriented, and he has experienced the success because of all these experiments in an organization. The bigger issue and the challenge we are doing so many things, but the need is to increase the visibility in an organization, creating a buzz amongst the people, and that will definitely going to change the game. My question is, please share few methods where you have implemented all the panelists, the few methods which will be helpful for all of us, so that we make a bigger impact. We are making a bigger impact, but how to increase the visibility?
The gamification or?
No, it's beyond gamification. Gamification is done. Yeah, that's very good way, to engaging the people, increasing the attention span and like this. Yeah.
So, are you saying 3 major impact area in HR, what they have done it?
Yeah, maybe 3, 4, whatever.
Yes. So maybe each one can take one.
So I'm a great believer and I like chatbots really well. So we started using chatbots to do initial assessment, and while the learning has happened through machine learning and it took some time, but I think they are doing really well, chatbots. Computer vision is one other area that I am very, very passionate about. How many of you know that there is an organization which actually uses computer vision to understand the mood meter of the individual, right? So when you walk into the office, towards you go home, it takes pictures of you at different times and it tells you what is your mood, right? That technology is there today, right? And it has, I was just understanding how is it working on. And when you smile, your lips actually was slightly bigger, and then when you smile, your eyes are slightly bigger. So they know how you are, and they actually tell, and the mail goes to the manager, something wrong with your disabled, please take care of that person. Right? I don't know what the manager will do after that, but that's how it is, right? So there are a lot of used cases. So what is happening today is that a lot of smaller used cases are being there, and off-the-shelf products are there. They are integratable, non-integratable. So we are going through some learning phase. Everyone knows everything, but not much of that is implemented. But chatbots is something that I'm very, very passionate about. At one click, they can talk to 100 people at the same time. Now, I'm not sitting here to say that chatbots do a better job than human beings. I'll be the last person to say that. But human intelligence, if it is coupled with this technology, I think we can create wonders.
Just to add on, not on the digital side, but the non-digital side, ours being a very varied business, if I have to give an example from there, we have created platforms wherein we encourage the subject matter expert to take up sessions that might be a junior folk, but then having said that, we have brought in industry experts as well. Say for example, airline people, we are not directly associated, they are our clients. But then we have invited them to give a perspective of what their experience or knowledge is about certain topics which is related to the aviation, for the remaining folks to learn and enhance their knowledge. Ours being a premise which has close to 20,000 plus employees through concessionaires, airlines and so on and so forth. So we have formed communities which come together to share their experiences, learnings on different topics at different perspectives. Another way that we have gone back to the basics in a way, wherein you all will relate to the site visits or industry visits that you used to do during your college days. So, say for example for HR, since we may not relate to TASATs, which is the food supplier, the biggest food supplier for airlines, how does it work? So we arrange for a site visit for the entire team to spend a half a day there to understand, see, witness the entire thing and know the details of that particular business, for us to relate to them while they are not our direct employees, but it's more to do with knowing your own ecosystem, where you exist, what could be the challenges or the strengths of those, so that we all work with the synergies to enhance the entire experience whoever steps in. So that's on the non-digital side, if I have to add from a learning perspective. yeah, while digitally, yes, we have a lot of things. I guess many who would have traveled would have seen the robots roaming around in the Terminal 1. Terminal 2 speaks about Metaport, and so a whole lot of things in the digital side. But yes, we continue as a staff. We also continue with the back to basics kind of a thing, where it gives a real-time experience of what it does. Thank you.
Right, so from the technology side to answer that question, but let me rephrase the question once again, and please let me know if I'm right here. So the question was to increase collaboration or visibility within the organization about all the different things that are happening. So for this, right, so I think the analytics workshop, I couldn't see my own presentation, so I was not able to explain this as a use case. Let me narrate a story here. So the story is about how Google was born. So 1998, like it was almost like 4 or 5 years Google started. The founders were pretty young, and they were looking for raising a fund. But at that point of time, John Doerr introduced the concept of OKR to Google, and that is something which revolutionized the way the organization functions today. All other companies like Facebook, Netflix, they started doing their goal setting exercises with an OKR model. Now, let me, if that is the problem that you are trying to find a solution to, OKR would be a great solution to implement. What OKR does is, during the goal setting process of an employee, largely, if you look at the KPI method of setting goals for people, it's just communicating metrics or the key items that people need to deliver. Now, it's really hard for people to connect emotionally with a metric. So there has to be a deeper meaning to the work that I do, the reason that I come to office every day. So the OKR framework is that framework that will help your organization leaders to lend a purpose to everybody else in the organization, and then that's where the alignment comes into play as well. So now talking about how do we achieve that through a OKR setting. So largely what Google suggested is what I will quote here. So they have 2 goal setting cycles in a year. The first goal setting cycle, it's majorly about writing long-term aspirational objectives that people have. Based upon what is that based upon is how my previous time was, right? What skills do I hold? Where do I stand today? Based upon that, we decide like 5 years down the line, where do we want to head, right? So those are aspirational objectives, and there are committed objectives, which are more of short duration objectives that people set against those aspirational objectives. So these smaller term objectives and key results are more measurable. They follow a SMART definition, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So all this goal setting processes and then displaying this, right? So the last leg where it actually improved the process for Google was that once the entire goal setting exercise was done for the entire organization, they actually printed that OKRs into charts and placed it on the organization wall, just to make sure that everybody in the organization understands that on which corner of the company what work is going on. So that kind of visibility is now, you don't really need to print charts. If we at KEKA currently we haven't launched that as a module, but this is something that will be coming up in this year itself. So we are coming up with a goals cascaded framework where the entire organization can take a look at how the vision and mission of the organization breaks down into department-wise visions and missions, and then the actionable KPIs or KRAs down the line into the department. So this entire module should be able to remove the ambiguity that is there in the organization.
Great. Lata, you like to add? Because I have that question for you. Any one point if you say HR making huge impact to the business, should be more visible because HR is making.
So this is a continuation of
Yes,
the
yes.
question, right? So what Chitij just said, we are doing that manually right now in our system. We have the OKR system for everybody, and each of the department is measured only with one OKR, and that is revenue. Which means all of us are aligned with the business outcome, the vision and the mission, and everybody knows what has to be done to do that. So it has simplified the performance management system itself. And that has brought in a lot of transparency and trust within the stakeholders and on the management and between each one of us.
Great. We come back to you. So question is, this talent acquisition. Again, if I just go back before 2 months, 3 months, we were busy hiring people were not joining because they don't want to work from office. How come suddenly this has been changed? And now, what disruption it will bring in the industry. What is the role of talent acquisition as far as HR is concerned, as far as strategy for 2023 is concerned? Are they scared? Talent is no more talent, because the way you are seeing the firing is happening every day. One company, two company firing 5,000, 10,000 people.
I somehow do not believe that talent is scarce. It is there, and especially in a country like India, we have a lot of people who are educated, first of all, in terms of technical skills. Even if you look around, tier 2 and tier 3 cities are also, scaling up in terms of education, in terms of universities, in terms of colleges. And everybody now understands the essence of education. Everybody wants to be rich, everybody wants a Mercedes, and everybody wants to work in a multinational corporation. I think these simple aspirations have pushed people to be more aggressive, to be more career oriented, and the urge to upskill themselves is also increasing day by day, if you see. So it all depends on how we frame our job postings, what kind of people we would want to, and there is no need to discard people if they are not for this particular role. You can always fit them to the role which suits them the best. So what I mean by that is, let us use, hire and train people as per their strengths, which will make more talent available to us, which means we will be able to do better filling of positions and thus better business.
In a different way, I would like to say, recruiters were much more in demand than the software engineer just before few months. Now I really feel pity about them, because first target is only them. Yeah, because nobody is recruiting. So what they are going to do unless you do the transfer internally. Raju, I come back to you. I am also looking at the watch, because Anmol is also there in the room. And he is your friend. Please remember. So question to you, another buzzword which has come up, employee experience. It was earlier engagement, then it suddenly converted into experience. Do you really think it really contribute to the business? Can it really increase the productivity of the organization, people, leadership, and self as well? What is the role of employee experience?
I think Kshitij mentioned about X and DX. I think I really liked what he said. And I'll narrate a story about what we have done in DN. So we were doing recruitment and all of that stuff, and one of these days, one candidate said that while you are taking my references, I need to talk to three employees of your company to understand your culture. So we said, that's a great example, that's a great idea. Now we started something called as DNP Amigos. So what we did is very simple. He said that we would like to create 30-40 DNP Amigos within the organization. Who wants to raise? Every other person raised their hand. We created a small criteria and all of that, and we finally shortlisted those people. Now we have an interesting algorithm, right? So as soon as you get an offer, we send you this file. You can pick up 3 people in that list. You can talk to all 3 of them. They will give you unparalleled, very unbiased, very specific inputs about the organization which you would like to know. And I'm very happy to say that increased the joining ratio, which was the issue for the talent acquisition team otherwise. And we also started responding to the people who were not shortlisted. Okay? So that's the first thing that we started doing. And last year, 2022, the people who did not get shortlisted or did not get the offers, they actually recommended some people who actually got opportunities. So you can understand the kind of experience that was given to them, so that they did not get through that opportunity, but they wanted somebody else to get through. And that's when they joined us. So I think it's important to understand candidates very well. They can be your candidate for today, they can be your customer, or they can be the person who will buy your company later. So treat them with respect. Most importantly, I think they will be yours. And most importantly, if somebody is not joining also, they'll recommend somebody else. I think what they need is respect. I think that's what they need, and then we should do that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Raju. We'll come back. I'm just looking at the watch. I need to complete what we have discussed much about. So, Sonali, there are 3 things in the organization: business, people, and process. Which one you want to pick up as the first priorities? Which should depend what? What's your views on this?
I guess all 3 has to exist together, obviously the way it is in any workplace or organization. But having said that, in the amidst all the changes that has happened given the pandemic, I guess it has kind of added speed to the changes that would have happened some 10 years later. Say for example, from a mobile perspective, we were working on a contactless platform to be available for the customers or whoever is traveling, the individuals that are traveling. But as soon as the pandemic happened, we kind of fastened the entire process of testing and all, and we were one of those first airports to launch the contactless travel for the individuals from here, wherein it was an absolute no-touch kind of a travel. So given that, I guess it's more to do with moving from the way we call it, from a VUCA to a Bani world. So having said that, with different models of work and experimenting with different models, organizations are looking at which model will fit in for them, be it hybrid or remote. For organizations like us, we would never be able to have a remote working for sure. So having, but then one of the organizations like Tata Steel, who are basically manufacturing setup, primarily steel manufacturers, and they are leaders in their space. It was very interesting to know that they are working, which no other steel company globally can imagine at this stage, that they have plans that in the next few years, as in near future, within 5 years kind of a zone, 70% of their people, employees, should be able to manage the plant remotely. So that's the way they are wanting to advance. So they will take care of the remaining 30% and they will work at a later stage, but then that's their plan and that's what they are aggressively working towards. So processes, be it, with all these changes, I guess one thing that has primarily happened is organizations have started becoming people-centered. So they are redefining their models, their processes, their strategies, keeping people in focus. So from an HR perspective or being in a leadership perspective, be it about redeploying, upskilling, reskilling, whatever you speak about, all that comes into primary focus for HRs to facilitate primarily and leaders to collaborate to work towards it. Say from a mobile perspective, say for example, everyone knows about T2 launch. Now, once the construction phase fades away and the T2 is all set in all completeness, we are not looking at completely terminating that team. We are in the process in parallel to train them, to redeploy them and accommodate them within the same ecosystem, because end of the day they are our own employees and it's not about laying off always. So given that, I guess the organizations are more, the dynamics, the leader versus people dynamics has changed and it has moved more towards the human-centric leadership, which is more driven by a EAE approach, rather AEA approach, wherein it is authentic in terms of giving a purpose to drive employees, because no more post-pandemic people are weighing what exactly the weightage of the work is in my life versus my own lifestyle, right? So, so things have changed, so that authentic part of has to come in to drive through purpose. Then the empathy has to come in for organizations towards the employees or the people, for them to give a genuine care, concern, respect, understanding towards what exactly is happening in different people's life. And the last part definitely is the adaptability of ever-changing scenarios in the workplace.
So before I ask Kshitij's question, let me do some dipstick from you. How many times you are changing your HR priorities? Within 1 month, 3 months, 6 months? 1 month, raise your hand. Or do you know your HR priorities? 1 month, no one. 3 months? Oh, so people are so vision. Look at their vision. 6 months? You are making something for 6 months. Not even looking at that it should be changed. Just talk to yourself and talk to your boss. Right? So this is the real feedback, panelists. And let me ask you, how many of you agree that talent acquisition should be #1 priorities for 2023? Looking at the layout. Learning and development, raise your hand, should be 2023 priorities. Employee experience. Okay. And then compensation, salary. Dono haath utana.
Actually, Ashish, these are all your bricks of home. You cannot say, I don't need this brick, I don't need this pillar. It will never work that way. Everything is there. But I think context is more of Prati plays a bigger role than everything.
Yes, I agree. Great. Chitish, so question to you. Again, HR priorities been changing, or you are the people who said, boss, you do change. So according to you, what changes you people are doing, which can be, boss, here is something which is new for the market.
Right, so my answer would have been different until yesterday, but today new budget came. I think there are some income tax slab changes to come. So that is something that we expect, like for a while, those changes are going to be there. What we are aiming at as a technology in building new features in our platform, we are simplifying our platform to make it more user friendly. The workflows have become more like beating around the bush rather than actually focusing on the objective. So we are simplifying all of that. We're suggesting we have responsibility of more than 7,500 organizations. On their HR processes depend on the kind of technology that we create. So we are evolving that in that space. Along with that, we are also revamping, launching our core values and competency framework, just to ensure that the potential side of the employee, not just the performance, we are able to focus more and develop people, nurture people more in terms of their career paths. I personally, being an OKR coach for a period, I believe that KRA KPI or OKRs, any of these frameworks are a little tricky for an individual to follow. Because next year new KPIs will come and the company is going to increase the targets, and again you will be chasing them always. So the smart idea would be to focus on the competencies enhancement, because that's an incremental framework. As an individual, we are trying to, as a technology, we are trying that individual should be able to spend that, or should be able to develop that acumen staying over our platform.
Great. I'm just looking at the watch. Yeah?
Okay.
Anmol is also waiting. Okay, so we need to respect the time of each and everyone. And I love the video which is related to the payroll guy working till 1 o'clock. People not submitting, XYZ. Watch the video which Keka is prepared, related to payroll especially. And yes, income tax, the recent example. Thank you so much, Raju, Sonali, Lata, and Kshitij. Yeah. And thanks for being a wonderful audience. This is still not over, don't worry. Now you get to know actually what is HR. Yeah. Okay. So thanks everyone.